If you could pick an image Donald Trump had come to the UK for, it might be this one, arriving alongside the Queen tonight in the ballroom of Buckingham Palace for the state banquet. But in her usual diplomatic way, it was a moment for the host to remind her guest of their two countries' shared history, including the establishment of institutions Mr. Trump is sometimes accused of ignoring.
After the shared sacrifices of the Second World War, Britain and the United States worked with other allies to build an assembly of international institutions to ensure that the horrors of conflict would never be repeated. While the world has changed, we are forever mindful of the original purpose of these structures, nations working together to safeguard a hard-won peace.
And while Mr. Trump didn't mention Brexit, even he wouldn't do that here. He did talk quite a lot of the UK's wartime spirit of independence.
In that dark hour, the people of this nation showed the world what it means to be British. They only wanted victory. The courage of the United Kingdom's sons and daughters ensured that your destiny would always remain in your own hands.
Earlier, it was on the immaculate lawn of Buckingham Palace that Mr. Trump began his day of royal engagements. Arriving with the First Lady in his helicopter Marine One. At this point, the red carpet was metaphorical rather than actual. It was the Prince of Wales and Duchess of Cornwall who were rolled out to greet their American guests in the garden and escort them into the palace to see someone who's done all this a few times before, the Queen. The handshake looked a little awkward, but she had a smile for the President, the 13th of her reign, by the way. Then a welcome for the First Lady, and the state visit, which has been so long in the preparation, nearly 2.5 years, was finally underway. And no country does a state visit quite like the UK. Politics and Brexit, and even Mr. Trump's tweets were suddenly on pause as the ceremonial and royal stages of the visit got underway. A private lunch off camera was followed by the customary viewing of items from the royal collection. Chosen for the Trumps, the American Declaration of Independence and a portrait of George III, the last King of America. But what the President really seemed to like was a bolt of Harris tweed, a nod to his Scottish-born mother. Prince Harry was in the room but appeared to prefer to linger at the back away from the cameras, given Harry's wife Meghan had been at the centre of a news story over whether or not Mr. Trump had called her nasty. It was perhaps intentional. In the end, there were no carriage rides. The US Secret Service never want their presidents in 100-year-old coaches, but even the beast, the bulletproof limousine, was only used when the helicopter wasn't suitable. And then to tea at Clarence House, although Prince Charles had to clear up after one of the photographers.
Looks like an ice cream.
Hi again.
It was a light moment before some serious talks, given the Prince and Mr. Trump have opposing views on climate change.
Yes, that's okay.
We don't know what Camilla meant by her wink, but perhaps she knew the talks were about to get interesting. Not by a long shot is Donald Trump the Queen's most controversial guest, but day one has just finished. There are 2 more to go. Chris Ship, News at 10, Buckingham Palace.